Okay, so we're recording. Okay, so today uh, we'll be talking today with my dear friend Robyn Fusco, and she's a longtime therapist. And just to tell you a little bit about her, because um, this is going to be I think, what will be a really helpful interview to you all who are in a home and you're in a couple and you're doing all this stuff, adjustment with what's happening with this pandemic. And so this video today is really dedicated to couples and just sort of giving you a booster shot to help with your relationship. So Robyn has been practicing psychotherapy with couples and individuals for 40 years. She has a master's in counseling from CU of Boulder, Colorado, and has worked in community mental health on multidisciplinary teams in partnership with the Department of Human Services, with school districts, and the Justice Department. Robyn has been in private practice for 18 years and has studied and trained in couples work extensively, including schools of thought that include PACT, which is the psychobiological approach to couples therapy, and Stan Tatkin's attachment-based couples work, and John Gottman's work. And John Gottman is a psychological researcher and clinician who did extensive work over 4 decades on divorce prediction and marital stability. Robyn also has training in EFT, which is emotionally focused therapy. That's Sue Johnston's work, if any of you know her work. So we're just going to get started, and I'm going to just start with a question, Robyn, for you. I didn't even have you say hi. You want to say hi? So.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. It was really sweet that you asked and that we can kind of collaborate in this way. So happy to be here with you.
Awesome. Good. So, all right. So what would you say, Robyn, are some good ways to take care of self in the midst of a full house, not having as much time to oneself due to the social distancing and stay-at-home restrictions, and now even working from home? What would you say are some good ways to take care of self?
Yeah, well, I think this is an unprecedented time. I wanted to just kind of preamble here a bit with this virus. It is something that in developed first world countries such as ourselves, we are not used to not getting what we want when we want it, whether it be something from the grocery store or our private time or
Yeah.
yeah, or getting my hair cut. I mean, there are just we are all having to adapt, aren't we? And I think with that comes a whole lot of uncertainty for folks, feeling like they have no control, feeling fear, for oneself and family and career or, finances. So, yeah, I think self-care at this time is essential. Um, so some ideas that I have and that I'm putting into play even for myself, because my husband and I both work from home generally, speaking anyway, so we're at home and we have a roommate who lives with us and now they're at home. So there's 3 of us working from home and we're trying to figure out uh, just space. How do we uh, get on the computer, have a meeting that might be loud? So we've been talking more to one another about what does our day look like tomorrow. So I think having that kind of communication with your family, with your partner, what meetings do you have tomorrow? And can you watch the kids during this time while I have a meeting? So I really think communication has to, be right up at the forefront here. Things we used to take for granted, that people would come and go at certain times, that is not the case anymore. We have to make brand new routines. So having time alone, I think, is essential. And with what's happening in the world right now and being more stuck at home, we don't have that. So we actually have to carve it out. We need to take 15 or 20 minutes every day. And hopefully you can go to a room, an office, close the door, have your partner watch the kids, or even put the TV on, or something fun for them. It's okay if they have a babysitter, like the TV, for a while. And while you're alone, you might do some breathing exercises. You might do a little light reading. You might just do what we call play dead, which is Shavasana pose in yoga. Just lying down, closing your eyes, and watching your mind. Not stopping your mind, just watching your mind and doing some breathing. So it's really a reset for your body to be able to just be for a moment. So you're not doing, you're just being. So that's some built-in quiet time. Now, if you're living in a part of the country where spring is springing, as it is here in Colorado and in Austin, and the weather is conducive, go outside. Take that 15, 20 minutes to yourself. If you have a yard, if you have a neighborhood or a close by park or pond, being in nature is so grounding and so refreshing. And again, watch the mind, see what it's up to. We don't have to stop it. We don't have to dwell on it. We just watch it as it kind of drifts on by all the different thoughts. I know here in Colorado, I've met friends for a walk. And as long as we keep our social distance, that connection feels very nurturing to me. Obviously, we're meeting more online with Zoom meetings as well, but keeping social connections, so important. Obviously, the obvious one, sleeping, just so that our nervous system gets a break. A lot of families are doing more baking or art projects, board games. So off electronics together, and then sometimes on electronics separate. And I think, again, women tend to feel they have to keep everything rolling at home and involved with everyone, planning for everyone. And I think it's a really good time to ask partners to step up, even to ask your children to step up and to help. It's a great time to teach them some chores, some things they want and can do. We can't do it all. We'll burn out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And that is all really helpful. Yeah, great reminders and ideas. So I'm wondering too, what would you say about how can couples use this time to actually strengthen their relationship?
Yes, I think it's a wonderful time, since we're all stuck together, to spend time as a couple. Now, if you have older children and they can, again, entertain themselves, or have their tablets out, or talking with their own friends online, I think it's a great time for couples to have more intentional time, which is a time where you're not just, ships passing in the night, but you're actually sitting down together and checking in with important questions like, how are you doing? What is your internal life like right now? How are you doing with this pandemic? Are you worried? What are your dreams for after this pandemic? How can I be here for you? So connecting in more meaningful ways, I think, noting, and I think often we take our partners for granted, especially if we've been in a relationship for a long time. and our rhythms and routines, we just are habituated. And I think this is a real opportunity to break out of that sort of trance of life where we're just walking by our partner here, trading off the kids, or it's your turn for dinner. And we can go deeper. We can have more meaningful time together where we're really strengthening our bonds. We're in this together. We need to really, you are important to me. It's a great time to let your partner know how important they are to you to get through this very difficult time together, that you're an ally, that your partner is an ally. So really, again, strengthening those bonds. And of course, just doing some silly, fun things together, playing a game, maybe reading a book that's helpful to the two of you, watching a movie. But again, intentional time, I think, is the key here. That I want to know you and be with you and see how you're doing during this time.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, great advice there. Yeah, I loved what you were saying earlier when we were just talking, Robyn, about how you are using intention yourself. You're just really reflective about how much Michael means to you.
Mhm,
That
mhm,
it sort of is this pause period of time in life where you're looking at, when there is any kind of a threat that, something could somehow harm us, something could take my
mhm,
person away. I mean, I hope that would never happen, but something could affect us seriously financially. Just really, uh, I really could hear how you are just appreciating Michael,
mhm.
practicing that.
Yeah, we're making sure we're carving out time every day to be together. And for us, that's um, walking in nature. We've been able, our weather has been fortunate, so we've been able to do that. But even if we're not walking in nature, we spend, I have to say, I'll just tell you my morning routine, but when we wake up, we have coffee in bed together. And then we sit and do some kind of a meditation, which is either online, like through an app like Calm or Headspace. We take 15 minutes to just kind of set that up. And then we begin our day. And it feels so much easier to start the day, whatever that brings, meetings, work, time apart, um, when we've started our day in connection. So we really try to start our day in
Yeah.
connection and end our day with connection. And by that, I mean really checking in, you know, how are you doing? How is this landing on you today? This worry about money or this worry about health. So yeah, I love those rituals.
I know you do.
And I guard them.
Yes, they've
Yeah,
been long time rituals. I know that. Yeah.
yeah.
And I have to say, I just, it's just, uh, it's touching to witness the two of you. Yeah.
Mhm,
And your rituals. Yeah. So, okay. So another question that is so important because it may be happening a little bit more because we're in closer proximity a lot more of the time, probably for most of us, with partners. So, how do you do repair with your partner when, what we call rupture, but when something happens that really, some kind of a rift or something is happening in the relationship? How do you do repair?
mhm. Yeah, and that word is so important, repair. It's putting back together, fixing what might be broken or injured. So I think in relationship has to be, it's let's see. It's not about not fighting, I guess is how I want to say. It's not about arguing. It's not about not arguing
There's
or not
never any
fighting.
conflict.
Right. Of course, we're going to have conflict with
Yeah.
a partner, um, and with our children. I mean, that's a given. But it's more, the healing really happens inside the repair. So we fracture and we repair, and we fracture and we repair. And it's again inside of that repair that the relationship strengthens.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So repair, I just can't say enough about it. And I know parents really beat themselves up when they lose it with their kids or lose their cool or with their partner, not feeling like they said the right thing or they've hurt feelings inadvertently. But don't
Yeah.
worry about it as long as you're coming back to repair.
Mm.
So I think repair, there's a few pieces to it that are very important. So first, I think it's accepting responsibility for what you've done. You know, um, I'm so sorry for hurting you. I can see that my not whatever, you know, helping you with dinner tonight did not go over well, and you must have felt, this is another part of it, abandoned by me, or maybe that I don't care about you. And I'm going to work hard to make sure that I don't do this again. So there's those parts to the repair. It's about taking responsibility. It's about understanding the feelings that the partner might have had. And it's about a promise for the future that you'll work on that piece. And the other thing about repair is that it should happen quickly. I think the longer a rift, a conflict goes on, the more resentment builds, the more separation occurs, the harder it is to repair because the person is, drifting farther. A repair is to help us come back so we can, face whatever we need to face again.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Just really important stuff always, and especially I think right now. I loved that reminder, Robyn, that I mean, as human beings, we are going to have conflict. I mean, we're different, unique human beings living together
Right.
and working with each other, and that it's not about sort of having the perfect relationship, because that doesn't exist. I mean,
Mhm,
in my mind, the perfect relationship is one where there are these skills where you know how to do repair, and
mhm,
you're doing what you can along the way, not to um, hurt your partner, and to respect
mhm,
the relationship and to be a team.
mhm,
uh, and there's going to be conflict in there, so how do you do repair? So thank you. Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
So I want to just ask also, I think this is a really kind of fun question. It's a cool thing to consider. So and I'm curious to say what you would say, Robyn, because you work a lot with couples. So what do you see are the common themes in the healthiest couples that you work with?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a wonderful question. And I love to see this when it shows up in my office. Couples who are here, obviously, because they want, more tools or more connection or to repair. But there's some basic qualities that I can sense when couples have the umbrella, I guess maybe is the word I'll use, of safety in their relationship, so that when there is a rift, it can repair quickly because there's this basic umbrella or a bubble, if you will, of safety. So I think one of the first qualities I see is that there's a true friendship in these couples. And you can see this by asking questions and wondering how deeply they know each other. Like a good friend, we're curious, right, about our partner. So, the word intimacy, into me see,
Oh,
is
I love that. I love
yeah. It's like we want to be seen, right? As a good friend, as a partner, we
that.
want people to know us. So um, in a good, healthy relationship, I see that people know each other deeply, and they're interested to know each other. They ask open-ended questions if they don't know. They don't assume.
So
So
could you
there's
give
this.
an example of that, Robyn? An open-ended question versus a closed-ended question?
Sure, like someone might say, "Oh, I'm really fearful about this virus, and I'm so fearful." And a closed, you know, uh, statement would be, "Oh, you don't need to worry, you're fine," kind of thing.
Mhm.
But an open-ended question would be, "Oh, tell me what you're thinking. Tell me more about what you're thinking about that." So it's inviting a more in-depth conversation rather than a one-word answer or shutting the conversation down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's being curious
Yeah,
and yeah,
being curious and inviting. I love it.
yeah, curious and inviting, right.
Mm-hmm.
And often when I see couples, one partner or the other, one of the biggest problems I see in relationship is the lack of that kind of intimacy, that people do not feel seen. Um, and so many other things could be going right, but if we don't feel seen and held by our partner, you might as well just be with a roommate or a good friend. So that piece is so important. I
Yeah.
think another, beside the friendship and intimacy, is showing admiration and affection. Um, so being proud of your partner, and saying that, like, wow, you just did such a fabulous job on that Zoom meeting. Should my husband see this, I'd love to hear that. Or when he cooks a fabulous meal for me, which he does regularly, I say, thank you so much. Even though he does that and has done that for a long time, I still appreciate his effort. I don't take that for granted. Um, yeah. So thank yous, noticing what they're doing right, looking for the positives. We have that negativity bias in our brains, and so we're always looking for what's not working in the environment. We're always scanning, right, for what's not working and then criticizing.
Survival brain. Yeah.
Survival brain, that's right. So, we're hardwired as humans for that. It's not the worst thing, but we have to counter that, right, with positivity and noticing what's working, and not just noticing, but commenting on it out loud. And it's not something many of us grew up with, is that kind of mm, mm, dialogue of wonderful, good job, great, whatever. Glad you got an A. What did you learn from that class? Tell me about it. We're usually instructed and commented on about what we haven't been doing correctly. So show admiration and affection. So friendship and intimacy, show admiration and affection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we talked about earlier, the accepting responsibility for your actions. So quick repair is part of that. And working together with the new demands at home. So being able to be flexible, being respectful and cooperative. So flexibility, I think, is a huge quality in healthy couples, that they're not rigid and this is who I am and how I function and this is who you are and how you function, but that, the acceptance that we change and that it's fluid.
Mm-hmm.
And creating goodwill. So ask for what you need And I see healthy couples who are able to say something like, I'm feeling overwhelmed with the kids and work, and it would be so helpful when you can, and it is so helpful when you take them out to play. So that's very different than, you lazy son of a gun, you never do anything around the house, and I am so sick of it. You're asking in a way that people might, your partner might be able to respond and help them feel good about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So we're not holding it in and trying to be a martyr,
right,
trying to be like the good one, or you know uh, the savior, which I think
right.
there can be some of that for women in
Mhm.
particular. Not to leave our dear men out. I think we have a long history, though, of being the glue in the household, uh,
Yes.
in many ways. So,
Hmm.
but so it's not holding it in or being a martyr. It's and it's not stepping into a place of blame, sort of holding it in so long that finally there's an explosion. And
Hmm.
like you said, it's like blame. It's really talking about your needs and appreciating when our partners can really do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it happens, these words seem foreign at first, or this style of communicating seems foreign. Um, and I think when you begin to work from a place of goodwill and connection, as opposed to being right, um, or yeah, I guess right is the best word, or yeah, indignant or martyring, you'll get your needs met. You're building a relationship in which it is so much easier to get your needs met when you're friendly, when you're compassionate, when you show admiration and affection, when you take responsibility, right? You're planting the seeds for a healthy garden, so that again, when conflict comes up or when you need a little extra help, it's there,
Mm-hmm.
rather than walking around with, oh, he never does anything, she never does anything, and then when a favor is needed or a repair is needed, it's not going to happen because there's been too much built up over time. So these are skills forever, that we need to work on, to have that umbrella or that really solid garden of trust and love.
Mm. Yeah, sounds like a beautiful garden. Yeah, and I
Yeah,
I like thinking of it too as like it's like you're putting extra money in the bank account.
there you
So
go.
you're building up reserves so
Hmm.
that there are reserves for hard times. Um,
Hmm.
there is that goodwill, like you said, that trust that is built up.
Hmm.
We're not like running the account really low all the time, so that there's just there's not that much strength to hold things together when things get tough.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, nicely said. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Um so I want to just ask you, also, Robyn, you've talked about this just a little bit more, or a little bit already. Is there anything else that you would say about, just advice that you would have for how can couples work cooperatively together for just all of the new demands that are here? Um,
Hmm.
those,
Hmm.
those couples who are parents.
Right. I do think it's calling for higher level and more consistent, regular conversation, really, just about the demands on each person right now. So to clearly, maybe at the end of each day, as a way to connect, to really talk about how the day went, what worked in the day in terms of child care and everybody's work time, and to really have that check-in time at the end of the day. How did today go? It's almost like running our family like a little bit of a business right now, right? And then what do we want for tomorrow? What is on the agenda for tomorrow in terms of concrete needs like meetings or who's going to the grocery store, those kinds of things, as well as when are we going to check in with one another to make sure we're doing okay.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just clearly delineating, I guess, um, again, needs, schedules, what went well, what we can improve on tomorrow, what we can add in. So you're looking at your mate as a partner, really a partner in um, running the day in and day out life of a family. And often that does fall on whomever's at home mostly, which often is the woman. It's not always, but she's the one who goes to the grocery store, gets the kids to dance, or gets the dinner ready. And I think those jobs now have to be equally or differently shared. So communicating so clearly what's working, what's not, and what's on the schedule for tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, and I loved that question that you put out there. So asking at the end of the day, what went well, what didn't go
Mhm,
so well, those questions, and
mhm,
what can we do differently?
mhm,
So yeah,
mhm.
so that's just such a different place to come from than stepping into a place of blame.
Blame and assuming and thinking our partner knows, mind reading, all of these, you know, tactics that are really not helpful. And yeah, so I think clarity at this time is super important. Assuming that our partner does not know how we're doing or what's on schedule for tomorrow, because this is all new. How we're doing things is all new. We have to form new habits and new rituals inside of our daily life. Um, and again, more intentional. So that coming back to that word.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, you know, as we're talking about couples and adjusting and all of these changes, um, one of the things that we would be remiss in not talking about is something that's being written about a bit right now. I know that I'm hearing a bit about this from some of the moms that I work with. And so it's this situation where maybe a woman is trying and trying to really elicit help from her partner, really is telling her partner what her needs are, is expressing that she's feeling overwhelmed. And um, let's say it's always been the case, or it's the case right now that how their partner is coping right now is they're using some old coping that is not helpful. For example, I'm hearing from a couple of people that their partner is playing video games a large part of the day, and they're overwhelmed. And so I have my own things that I talk about with my moms that I work with, and I'd love to hear just what advice would you have for those women?
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's very difficult. I mean, first, I'd like to just think about the partner who's withdrawn so much and playing video games or whatever. And we all do have our coping mechanisms going on, and some of them are not very healthy. And I think those mechanisms are coming from fear, coming from a place of uncertainty and feeling out of control. So people go back to old habits that don't serve them, but they distract them for a while, right? To calm themselves. So, there's a Buddhist technique that I really like, and it's called RAIN. The acronym is RAIN, RAIN, obviously. So, for the woman or the man who is feeling like their partner has checked out, It's really about self-love, self-care, self-compassion in those moments. One, know that your partner is, this is hard to say in these moments, but doing the best they can, that they're freaked out and this is how they're coping, and it's not helpful for you, but so that's one piece of it. The other is to regulate your own system. And we can do that in many different ways. I know sometimes you do mindfulness with folks. I do that as well. Mindfulness is present moment awareness, teaching people to be, in their present moment with their body and their thoughts and their sensations. So RAIN kind of comes in there where again, it's an acronym in Buddhism, and it really helps with feeling awareness and feeling regulation. So the R in RAIN stands for recognize. So first we kind of check in with ourselves. What am I feeling now that my partner is in the basement or wherever playing video games? I'm angry, and I can feel that anger in my gut. Okay, so just recognize. Okay, the A part is allow. So allow for that. It's okay to be angry. You have every reason to be angry. Investigate. Yeah, again, where do I feel it? How do I feel it? What are my thoughts about my partner right now? I don't like him very much. He's a jerk. He's not helpful. I'm going to divorce him. All these things. So just kind of spend some time with that. And then the N in RAIN stands for nurture. And the nurture is nurture yourself and nurture your feelings. Don't beat yourself up or have, um, judgment or criticism about why you're angry or frustrated or upset or hurt. It just is. It just is. And the more we can kind of be friendly with our emotions, the more they begin to dissipate. And or not take over our life. So then we're going through the rest of the evening so angry when husband does come up from, playing games. We're just two barreling him with all that anger. It's a way for that anger to have a place to be heard without it being destructive in the relationship. And then again, I would try to say, I'm again feeling very overwhelmed. I really need your help. You're so great with the kids. Can you play video games with them maybe some of the time? I mean, trying to be creative, but we're never going to come up with creative thoughts or ways to speak. And I'm pointing to my, executor, my my wisdom brain, when we're all flagged up back here, which is our, our wise person and our lizard, our wizard and our lizard. So, trying to regulate ourselves and, having other outlets, again, that time to yourself, that walking outside, taking a bath, doing the self-care so that we're in a better place. And then it could be good information for future conversations with partner about how the relationship is going. And perhaps we need some couples therapy or to read a book together about how to communicate better, something.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So let's see. I guess so. Just coming to the last question, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you're going to say to this, Robyn. So I wonder if there was one piece of advice that you would have for your children, your two adult children, about their relationships, that it would be just the only piece of advice that you could give them about how to have a healthy and loving relationship. What would be that piece of advice?
Well, an interesting story kind of related to that. I was honored at my son's wedding, which has been 4 years ago now that he's been married, almost 5 actually, in July. And he and his wife-to-be at the time asked me to do their, what is it, wedding speech, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
You know, it's typical for the father of the bride or whomever, and he had different people speaking, but he asked me to speak, and I asked him, you know, he asked me to speak, and I asked him, why did you ask me out of all the other adults in your life? And he said, well, Mom, you know, you feel your feelings really deeply, and this is something that, you know, it's important to me. What you have to say is important, and that you say it from your heart, you know. So I was really honored. So I spent a lot of time actually thinking about, what do I want to say to my adult children as they're entering into this huge life transition, partnering, you know, with someone. So I said many things, but I think I sifted it down to just this one sentence. That so it what I'm saying is, what I said was, honor your partner with your full presence and attention. Know them deeply and let them know that you know them deeply.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. That just gives me goosebumps.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
Yeah. Absolutely. That's just the core of everything.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be very present. You know,
Mm,
be very present. Let them know that you are there, and that by being very present, the partner feels held, the partner feels trust, the partner feels connection, and that I'm important to you, right? That you'll put your tablet down while I'm speaking. And 5 years later, I really see that. And I've seen that for a while with my son and daughter-in-law, just this sweetness that they have with one another. They gaze a lot into each other's eyes. They touch when they're sitting next to each other.
yeah.
Um, they talk in public about each other in um, positive ways. They'll notice with other people around the things that their partner is doing that they're proud of.
Mm,
Which is a
yeah.
really lovely quality too, to say. Oh, my son just told me the other day when we were visiting, Katie just got a raise at work and new responsibilities. You know, they really like her there. And Katie, of course, his wife, is sitting there while he's saying this, and you can just see her beaming.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of beautiful.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Robyn, just for really sharing with us some tips today to strengthen and to, just to have some extra tools for working with this time that we're in for couples
Mhm.
and especially these parents who are, they've just got a lot in those households. that,
Yeah,
so I'm thrilled to be able to share your wealth of information with these parents. So thank you again.
you're welcome. And just one more parting thought. You know, this is actually can be seen as a very odd gift or opportunity, this pandemic, you know, as long as we're staying healthy, but to really kind of sift through again what's truly important to me and to my family. And it's truly connection is what's truly important, not the latest iPhone, or you know, having this much money in the bank, or
Yeah.
you know, the latest and greatest clothes. So I think this is affording us a forced, anyway, opportunity to really again sift through what's important, and to strengthen those bonds with kids and partners right now, because we have little else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
why not take it?
Absolutely. Take it. So, okay. Well, thank you again. And
Happy to be here. Thanks, Kathy. It's been fun.
okay.